Let's begin this hour with developing news out of London, where earlier today, British police entered the Ecuadorian embassy and arrested WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. We've since learned that the arrest came at the behest of the U.S. prosecutors, who are charging Assange with conspiring with whistleblower Chelsea Manning to commit intrusion into U.S. government computers. Ecuador earlier revoked Assange's citizenship and asylum status, allowing British police to remove the journalist and transport him to court. His extradition hearing has now been set for May 2nd, when his lawyers are expected to argue against sending Assange to the U.S. For his part, President Trump said this just moments ago on Twitter, that he, quote, knows nothing about WikiLeaks, and it's just not his thing. Now, during the 2016 election, Trump praised the organization after it published leaked emails from the Hillary Clinton campaign. So joining us now to discuss out of New York, our New York studio, Steve Malzberg, conservative commentator. Steve, all right, here's what President Trump said about WikiLeaks and Assange back during the 2016 campaign. He said, "Oh, we love WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks shows how crooked the whole thing is. I love reading those WikiLeaks." But Steve, today he claims it's not his thing. He doesn't know anything about it. So how do we reconcile these polar opposite statements from the president?
Well, you have to understand, and I know you do by now, that what Donald Trump says on the campaign trail in front of an audience, off the cuff, off the top of his head, to gain a response from that audience, is not the same as what he said today. Today, he's saying it as president in the context of, hey, there's a legal process going on here. Our Justice Department just wanted, extradition of this guy, and they just exercised that and got him out of the compound, and we're going to hopefully get him back here to stand trial. I'm certainly not going to weigh in, which I hope it stays that way. I hope he doesn't weigh in, because I don't want any defense attorney for Assange, who in my view should be locked up for what he did. I don't want any defense attorney to be able to get him out on a technicality that the president somehow, tainted the jury.
Okay, now, Steve, back in 2016, let's go back a couple of years, Assange helped reveal the corruption going on, at least inside the Democratic Party's presidential primary, as well as the collusion that was actually taking place between the Clinton campaign and the mainstream media. So now, Steve, are you saying that these disclosures weren't vital to the American public interest in choosing their next president? I mean, he played a role there.
He might have played a role there. People get hacked all the time. You should never assume that anything you put on the internet is going to stay private. That doesn't defend if that was against the law. And I think there might be more indictments coming down, what they call superseding indictments, that will charge him in the DNC hacking and the hacking of Hillary Clinton's emails as well. So I don't think that that's just being pushed to the side and isn't going to enter into this. It will. But I don't think also that you could compare that to putting Americans at risk. I mean, what he helped, what Assange allegedly, according to the indictment, helped Chelsea Manning get out of U.S. Defense Department computers, put American lives at risk, put diplomats' lives at risk, sacrificed sources and methods. It was horrific to the national security of this country, and that cannot be tolerated.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that you straightened that out. Just to be clear, that the U.S. is alleging that he hacked. As far as we know right now, the DNC stuff, he says he's publishing. It came to him. He says he didn't hack. So we'll have to see that play out. And prosecutors are charging Assange, at least right now, at the very least, for allegedly helping Chelsea Manning crack a password to grant access into government files. Do you see Assange as potentially facing other charges once he arrives here in the U.S., if that extradition most likely will take place?
Yeah, I think what we just talked about, I think they call it superseding indictments, and it will be involving the DNC hacking and the hacking of the Hillary emails. But I got to say, I don't understand these people who are journalists. This is not like the New York Times or the Washington Post. When if Chelsea Manning had gone to Julian Assange and said, "Here, I have all this stuff. Here it is," and he printed it, I think that's a winnable case for Assange. It harkens back to the Pentagon Papers, which was dismissed for various reasons. But I think a news organization, they should use their judgment, but I think they have a legal right to print almost anything they want. But if the indictment is true, and if Assange helped what's his name, Manning, get a password or part of a password to help get those documents, that's a whole different ballgame. It has nothing to do with freedom of the press. It has to do with treason. I mean, Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Of course, Obama, commuted the sentence, good old Obama, and let him out. But this is serious, serious stuff, and it cannot be tolerated.
Yeah, conspiracy is very different than freedom of speech stuff here. And as a supporter of President Trump, I believe you still are an ardent supporter of President Trump. How do you feel about Julian Assange facing years in prison, while, as we saw during Trump's very bumpy first year in office, we saw a lot of officials in Trump's own administration get away with leaking classified information about internal power struggles and even releasing information that could harm his young presidency. They're getting off scot-free. Nobody's talking about that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to find out who leaked that stuff. I would love to find out, and they should be punished. I'd love all leakers, but be it the FBI leakers, if they're inside the White House and the West Wing leakers, find them, punish them. I'm all for that. I don't think we have any names of people that are just getting away with it and saying, yeah, we leaked, or they leaked, too bad, we're not doing anything to them. No, I'd love to find out. And as a matter of fact, let's launch an effort right here.
Yeah, maybe Bill Barr should look into that as well.
There you go.
And see how this Russia collusion stuff started. Got a lot of things to investigate. All right, as always.
I wouldn't mind, yeah.
As always, my friend, Steve Malzberg, thank you for sharing some time with us today.
Great to see you, Manila.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.